You know, we've seen a lot of AI images being used in disinformation and misinformation these days.
Yes, and a good flashback for you guys is the Hawaii wildfires.
Yes.
The whole Maui fires.
Yes.
China and politicians that wanted to be against America for the sake of being against America and push their agenda, pushed a Chinese propaganda campaign that used fake imagery about the Hawaii
fake AI,
fires.
Image of the fires. Anyway, I just want to, before we even comment on what's going on, I'm going to show you 3 images. We've got one of a Chinese child. These are all AI generated, by the way.
Yes.
If you couldn't tell, it's pretty obvious to me. Of a Chinese child during these terrible earthquakes that we told you about last week that had just happened in Tibet, right? Then we've got an image talking about Gaza, okay? Also AI generated too.
Both fake.
Yes, both AI and generated. And then we have one about the Hollywood burning. All of these are AI generated.
Yes.
Now, on the Chinese internet, the one about Hollywood grabbed a lot of attention. Allowed this person to get a lot of views, a lot of engagement.
Oh, not just this. Like, this is just one example of thousands that spread this.
Okay, and I'll go back to the other one. The one about Gaza gained a lot of sympathy, a lot of comments about how terrible it is, etc., etc. This is all on the Chinese internet.
Yes. That was not removed either.
No, that was
the Hollywood one.
The one about the China earthquake.
On the left.
Yeah, the person who posted it got detained by the police.
They got arrested.
Yeah.
They got arrested.
Yeah.
For sharing an AI image. Because it showed China in a negative light.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Isn't that weird?
Wild. Number one, like, props for having some regulation on AI imagery, and absolute shame on you for not prosecuting the other AI images.
I mean, that's like, it's okay to have AI imagery if it shows America in a bad light.
And it does.
Or pushes a political agenda like the Gaza thing.
Yes.
But not if it's China. Then it's, no, you're not allowed to do that. Isn't that crazy?
You guys remember this?
Yeah.
What was this? Well, this is the Uyghur genocide, right? So just pause it real quick. This is when China took over 1 million Uyghur people, the Muslim people in Western China that don't identify as Chinese.
I don't know why people try to downplay this. This is real.
It's a genocide.
And it's a cultural genocide. Okay, they took them and told them, you're not allowed to practice your religion anymore. You're not allowed to have your beards anymore.
You're not allowed to have your language.
Yeah, you're not allowed to have your language anymore. Separated children away from parents. Just disappeared people
literally
for no
took
reasons.
All the adults, the Uyghur adults, and put them in concentration camps. They built concentration camps that a Chinese guy was actually able to expose.
Yeah, we've exposed it in the past. We've shown the footage. People were doing forced labor.
Xinjiang police files.
Yes.
There was a hack where all of the criminals were exposed, and they turned out to be people that were praying in their home.
Yes.
Millions of people, right, were detained for just very innocuous things.
So, yeah, look, and it's absolutely worked. They've completely neutered any sort of cultural identity or religious identity. You're not allowed to anymore.
And now what they do
all you're allowed to do is dance around and pretend.
Yes. So it's the most tightly controlled area in terms. It's basically like North Korea surveillance, but with higher surveillance.
Yes.
In this area of China, in Western China, called Xinjiang. And what happens now is that China employs Westerners to go there and say that there's no genocide. It's
when you see these horrible travel shills and they go to Xinjiang and they go to tourist sites
and they're like, what genocide?
Like the Grand Bazaar, and the old town and the Hotan night market and stuff, and they go there. Oh, there's no genocide here, and they show a tourist site. It's like going to Disneyland and saying, oh, there's no drug abuse in America because you're walking around Disneyland and there's Mickey Mouse and stuff.
That's a perfect analogy.
It's ridiculous, right? There's no gun violence in America. This is like Misty Mountain or whatever it is. Look at this roller coaster. Yeah. It's what's going on. Yes. It's
There's
stupid.
no homelessness in America.
Yeah, because look at
Space Mountain.
I know, exactly. That's what's going on. Yes. Anyway, we don't need to go too far into that.
As a refresher, because right now what China is doing is they just started boarding schools in Tibet, which is basically re-education centers for Tibetan children now. Mm-hmm. So this is not the Muslims in Xinjiang. This is the Tibetan people, which also don't identify as being Chinese, right? So this is a way to culturally genocide another group of people that they've been doing, by the way, for decades.
Oh, of course.
When Chairman Mao forcefully
remember how
Tibet.
like all the politicians and shills say China's never invaded any country.
Tibet was a country, bro.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's part of China now.
Yep.
You invaded it with soldiers and killed everybody.
Yeah, they invaded that. They invaded
You deposed
Vietnam.
the Dalai Lama. You kicked him out.
Yeah, that's just one of the places they did actually invade.
Yes.
Just in case you're not up to
one of
scratch.
many.
Just one of many, yeah. I got a whole video about that.
Anyway, it's just interesting right now. New York Times did a great piece. You can go ahead.
Okay, you've got that in the description?
Yeah, New York Times did a great piece on this. Hundreds of thousands of Tibetan children are being separated from their families and placed into boarding schools by the Chinese government. And what they're making them do is shocking. They're making them parade around with a hammer and sickle and the Xi Jinping thought book and portraits of the leaders, right? And trying to completely erase their identity because they don't want to get into a situation like the Uyghurs where they have to re-educate adults. It's much harder to re-educate adults.
Oh, yeah.
So you take a child away from their family, right?
Yeah.
And you say, your religion is bad, your parents are evil, right? You are fine as long as you are Chinese, right? So stop speaking your language, stop practicing Buddhism. You now follow the dear leader, right? And I'm not exaggerating. This is what's happening on mass right now.
It's pretty horrible.
It's pretty insane, and this is happening, and it's apparently. I just want to throw out there, like we're amidst all this, like talking about like TikTok bans and all this kind of stuff. This is happening right now in China, and a lot of people are now thinking that China is some bastion of like unknown culture that they've never been able to reach, and it's some like hidden secret that the American government doesn't want us to know about. It's the other way around, my friends.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a bad government.
It's a very bad government.
Don't need to get too preachy, but it's a great article.
Yeah, and this is also going on, you know, what are we going to save? What are we going to prioritize when there's an earthquake there? We got to put up pictures of Xi Jinping like he's a god.
Isn't that wild?
In the
relief tents.
In the relief tents.
So there's relief tents in the Tibetan area where these earthquakes happen, and this is what they're doing.
Yeah.
This is the country, guys, that you apparently are supposed to look up to.
Yeah.
You just need to be like this.
You just need to be like
or
this.
Smell it. Alcohol and tobacco consumption.
What?
The kind Santa Claus with a gray beard and a red cotton-padded coat, all together with his cute deer.
His cute
Together with his cute deer.
Why is she so upset? She's like, this is the worst painting I've ever seen.
Yes, I do.
Is that like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something? Yes,
too.
I do.
Sorry, baby.
That is the shittiest ad I've ever seen.